by Merlin's beard. Hi guys, Dragonath here with House Rant, doing a video which
not a lot of you will like.
A lot of you will like. I'm not gonna say it's not
agree with, really.
Agree with. It's not a bad video whatsoever. Okay, I love Noble Knights. Don't get me wrong, but
Konami didn't make them broken enough.
That is true. It's not like Burning Abyss, where Burning Abyss is broken tier, almost tier 0, just wins everything. Maybe 6 months ago, with all this stuff, Noble Knights would have been head of the pack, right?
Yeah, before BAs came out.
But at the moment, they're not really in the running. Like, yeah, none of them top the YSS Anaheim or got anywhere. Like, they have a very
Even after all the hype.
Even after all the hype. They have a very good Shadow matchup. They have a very good Clipboard matchup.
Well, not very good. They just have a strong matchup just because Clifford's are like, oh look, I swarm the field.
They have a solid matchup against Cliffords.
Yeah, like, just because of the fact that Cliffords want to swarm and then swing through your face. But if you got something that doesn't die or something they can't swing over, which is what Noble Knights are really good at doing, then, you know, they're not going to do what they want to do.
And this video is coming to you with experience of actually playing competitively for
about 6 months.
More than 6 months. Well, probably since the start of the year with this deck.
Yeah.
And House Rant against this deck. Like, we've had plenty of decks I've played against with this, and he's used against this, just so we can find the ins and outs and, you know.
Yeah. Especially recently, like, I've tested Satellas, BAs, and always testing new Medolce builds, even though they are inherently better than, well, not better.
Super effective.
Super effective against Noble Knights. Yeah.
And yet, Noble Knights have a weakness. Their biggest weakness in the world is Medolces. It truly is. You just fucked up your Xbox.
Nah,
you don't the toothpicks. What are you doing, mate? Okay. First things first. You gotta remember that Noble Knights have one of the best late games you can get, with cards like Galahad and
Round Table.
And Round Table. Round Table makes an extremely good late game.
Yeah, like they're designed to be a late game deck, right?
Right.
That's what
extremely good late game. Problem is,
games aren't lasting that long.
Games aren't lasting long. Not that they can still also. This is meta we're talking about. If your locals is Mermail still, disregard half this video, because you can play whatever the fuck you want in Noble Knights against the Mermail's meta, or a Lava Chain meta.
Or just anything that's not currently...
Or a Maiden of Blue Eyes meta.
Maiden of Blue Eyes meta. Oh,
like, you're gonna beat them.
Yeah.
Noble Knights aren't bad, they're just not as good as the top 3, which are the tier in the meta.
Yeah, which are BAs, Shadows, and Cliffords, right?
Right.
So, all of this information is generally regarding playing competitively against these big 3.
Now, Round Table, incredibly good late game. However, if you draw into it early game, it's a brick. Same with this. Oh no, here comes all the hate of people saying, but last chapter's amazing. Okay, last chapter is amazing.
It is amazing.
All the cards in Noble Knights are amazing. But you gotta remember that we're talking about getting your first turn plays off, because, let's be honest here, you're gonna get nowhere unless you get your plays off. Unless, of course, you use Boar's effect to search your deck. Unless, of course, you use Madrot's effect to get Boars out. Because guess what? If you sit on one Boars, right, and you put this many Noble Arms on him, right, okay, so one you've used to get the others, you've obviously wasted one from hand, and one you've searched out from him, most likely. And you probably have a Gwen on him as well. Okay, so he's now got a Catastrophe effect. He's 2,500, can't be targeted or destroyed by battle, card effects once per turn. Okay, so you get rid of this, and then you get rid of him.
And then you lose all your advantage.
And then you lose your advantage.
Yeah, like, as a simple card, all you gotta do is MST this, it's gone, and then Castell. Like, you just bounce it.
Not even, like what's this is going,
like, not
101?
Even yeah, like,
Virgil?
Yeah, like, just anything, like, don't like, because there's no other noble knight to equip everything to, you lose all your advantage.
Look, even better. You can lance boars. You can now lance or Book of Moon boars. Like, you lance him, you still got the Gwen, sure. Not that I'm putting Gwen up, there we go. You lance him, you still have Gwen to use as pop and attack. But guess what? He's now on 900 attack if he gets lanced. This won't save him. That'll do absolutely nothing. That's, once that gets MST. You might have stuff set up, but this is your opponent's first turn. They're going to get rid of your boars, you're going to have nothing. And then they're going to go there, set 4 back row, and you're going to go turn 2 and you're going to normal summon out Madrot. And Madrot, you probably won't have another one of these in your hand because you're going to waste all your field just to keep that alive. When you Madrot out, you put Gwen on him, and then they break through it.
Or, there's a card like Vanities, right? It's going to stop you from doing your stuff. Or, like, even before you can Gwen, you chain Sanctum and bring out Morale Attack.
Like, there are so many ways to stop this deck turn 1 or turn 2. Normal summon Madrot, Solemn Warning. We have footage of us playing real matches where I normal the brothers or normal the Madrot, and I get warninged over and over and over.
And there's nothing left to do.
There's nothing left to do. Because, unless of course you can, you want to turn 1 last chapter, you will almost never turn 1 last chapter. Why? Because there's almost no way you're going to get Noble Arms in the grave and then have your whole field wiped.
This brings us to a point that could make Noble Knights completely broken.
Is this card that I made up called the Holy Grail of the Noble Knights?
First thing, name, searchable. Says Noble Knights.
Not searchable.
Well,
if it says Noble Arms, you're searchable.
Recyclable.
It's recyclable, yes.
But
it might not even need to do that. You might call it a Noble Arms instead with brothers. Okay, what would this card do? And this card that I'm making out is the card that would get Noble Knights tier 1 probably immediately. Okay, quick effect spell card. You can, when you play this, you can discard a Noble or Knight, search for Noble Arms. Or you can discard a Noble Arms and search for Noble Knight. Then, it also has a quick effect during other players' turn that you can banish it from the grave, and it's basically a booging turtle effect, where if a card targets your monster, you can negate that effect. That's targeting it. So, if they Veiler, right, you banish it from the grave, and you negate the Veiler's effect. Because I promise you this card is a bloody bane for the deck.
You just messed up the camera.
I'm sorry.
Don't smack the table.
Don't bang the table?
Don't smack the table.
That's my point. This card will make you face down. It's so bad.
So bad.
Okay, so another point I want to make. Next to every single card that you will play in this deck will lose out to Veiler. Right? With the exception of these 2 guys with Excalibur on it.
Move your cards back, man.
I don't know where the camera is for you. You didn't tell me.
Okay. It's fine. There's fine.
Okay. So Veiler will stop this, it'll stop this, it'll stop this if you chain on the summon. Well, sorry, if you chain this on that summon or this on equip, unless of course they equip Excalibur. Now, the thing to note on that is,
you need both if you want to make your play.
Sure, I can do Boars' effect and then get a Noble Arms and Gwen, but let's be honest, I can't special summon anything else out except a Lady in the Grave to go to this guy. And that's not what I want, because I want this guy to search next turn. But like I said before, he's gonna die. Okay, so the better play. You go on a Madrot, you equip him on that, equip this on a Madrot, you special summon out Boars. Unless of course you have another one of these in hand, which means 3 cards in hand that you're going to use up just to do your play. Boars is going to get Veilered. Then Boars is going to get killed, and you're sitting on no Noble Arms.
And a Madrot with nothing.
On the bright side, well, that's if you have something else. Say you had a Gwen in hand as well, okay? Like, And if you do that, you probably wouldn't even do that play anyway. You'd probably go into like this guy, just so you can get a Noble Arms. If you Veiler him, he still sits there doing nothing.
Yes, and that's what we're talking about.
Another thing.
This one card, Effect Veiler, will completely rain on your parade. Like,
it'll shitstorm on the deck. And
yeah,
before people go and say, oh, but you know, not everyone runs Veiler. Okay, Veiler's not seen as much in the meta, but it's out of the hand traps. It's probably the one that's seen most in main board. And against tier 2 decks, you'll see that more than you'll see DD Crow. A hell of a lot more.
Like, DD Crow had its phase where it was good. Then it just completely went out, and like it's still good as a hand trap, yes, because you can banish something, but the problem is meta decks are what people play against. Meta decks don't lose out to DD Crow.
Okay, Burning Abyss against DD Crow. What, you DD Crow a Scum, that's about the only advantage you'll ever get. You can't DD Crow during damage step, so you can't DD Crow when the Dante gets destroyed by battle and sent to the grave. You're gonna get nothing off that. And if you have a DD Crow in hand, you're DD Crowing one, and they've still got a million other plays they can do. Cliff Forts, they don't even go to the grave, unless you're like, warning or something. And even then, why are you gonna waste it on it, and they probably can't get it back? Okay, then Shade Ults. Okay, well, they don't really need to worry about their monsters going to the grave. Like...
Yeah, there's really nothing...
Shade Ult Fusion.
Like, meta-wise, there is no reason to run DD Crow. But meta-wise, there is a reason to run Veiler.
Veiler Virgil, Veiler Castel.
Yeah, you can Veiler Disc. Stops them from summoning 2.
They'll get 2800, but it's already at that anyway.
It's already at that anyway, because they're probably running Skill Drain, or
is
they
this
tribute
the
it.
one that's,
You tribute it, and they get 2 from deck, or something.
Oh, if Skill Drain's on the field already, you can't develop, but that doesn't matter because they won't get the tribute shit.
But like, it's more optimal than running a DD Crow, and it's on par with running a Max C. So out of the 3 big hand traps that everyone runs, besides Flying Cockblock, Flying C, you're going to run into a Veiler about as many times as you're going to run into a Max C.
And it's more likely to be main board. Okay, what else? Okay, Melon's effect and Black Landfall's effect to tribute themselves. You cannot chain Breakthrough or Veiler or something to that. You cannot chain to it, because as soon as it activates its effect, it's tributed. It's not on the field. It says target one face-up effect monster. Target one face-up effect monster. There is no effect monster on the field.
Because
it's already in the grave.
It's already in the grave.
It's the cost to tribute itself.
It's Lone Fire Blossom, it's Angeli, it's Merlin. They tribute themselves, they're no longer face up on the field.
If I use his effect to tribute Boars,
you can.
Then you can chain Breakthrough Skill on him. Okay?
Yes.
Also, if I normal summon Merlin, and you play Veiler onto Merlin, or Breakthrough Skill on a Merlin, on the normal summon...
On the summon.
Has
to be chained to him being successfully summoned.
Then there's no point for me to tribute Merlin because I'm not going to get anything.
Yep. Because his effect's negated.
Okay? I don't want people trying to tell me otherwise. Because that just grinds my gears. That's silly. That's... Okay. Another thing I want to go into.
It's unruly.
I don't know why the hell people would run that as 3 over that at 3. Why people would run that at 3 and that at 2. Please, try to explain me with some sort of logic why this is better at 3 than that is. Because I've already explained to you that, except with Excalibur in hand, this stops both of them. Okay, so you can sit with a Galaton on him, but he's 27. I've already explained how easy it is to get past Boars. And
how easy it is to get past any monster without back row to back it up.
But at least this guy, who will die anyway,
can do
shit from the grave.
Can do stuff from the grave. Quick effects from the grave.
Like, and if he's not stopped, right, you can go into any Noble Knight monster in the deck, including Boars. But you know what that means? You have one less card in your deck to worry about. And guess what? You're only going to use Boars' effect once or twice.
Yeah.
The whole game. Whole game. Once or twice.
He's live all the time, pretty much.
Every single time you draw him, you can use his effect.
To search anything you need.
If you're running Digust Amor for some weird reason, put him back in and use him again. In fact, you can call the Haunted this guy in your opponent's turn, and then tribute him during your turn. Unfortunately, Call the Haunted's going to stay up, But at least you got the rank 4 to get rid of it if you really want to. But you know, like, I don't understand why people would say him at 2. Because he ups the consistency like hell. You run 3 boars, 2 melon and 3...
3 Madrot?
And 3 rota. You got 8 boars. You run him at 3, run him at 2, and 3 rota. You still got 8 boars.
But you've also
the difference is you have 1 more of every other noble knight to draw into.
Makes it 4. Well, 5. 3 rota.
I don't want to go into that anymore. This is my rant video, so I'm gonna be mad. Okay, another big one is this motherfucker. Pardon my French. And just to point out to you guys, yes, I play tested it.
A lot.
A lot. I got 2 of them to play test it. Right? I have play tested the hell out of this. And you know what happens? Go watch my latest duel video of me versus some Dolces. Where I said, this motherfucker first turn. Do you want to know what happens? Spoiler alert, it gets MST'd. Because, guess what?
Noble Knights don't run much back row.
Not just that.
Power.
If you have this on board, okay, theoretically, because this is going to happen a lot. If you have this on board, right? On whatever. Okay, let's say on him, okay? You have 5 face-up cards. But let's disregard the monster for now, okay? You have 4 face-up spells. Your opponent knows what they have to deal with. The only thing they don't know what they have to deal with is this face-down one. Right? That could be anything. That could be a solemn scolding.
It could be a solemn warning. It could be a compulse. It could be a book of mirror.
It could be a solemn judgment if they didn't know it was banned.
It can be anything, right? But they don't know what it is. So
its mum said it could be anything it wanted to be when it grew up.
Grew up. It's mum's spaghetti.
But sure, do something like that. But what are you gonna do? Okay, you see one set card, you go, I know what I have to do to deal with this. I don't know what I have to do with this. Deal with this. MST. Oh look, you want to chain MST to Scolding? Go ahead. Okay.
Change Scolding to MST.
You want to know another perk of having Scolding? Okay, let's say you don't have Gwen on because you're saving it because you don't want it to be returned to your deck. Okay, you have 2 face down Scoldings. You're never gonna play either of them. Why? Because you can only play it if you have no other set cards. Okay, here's another scenario. Okay, I have 1 set Scolding and I have 1 Karma Cut set. Right? I can't activate this until this has been activated. Which means, if my opponent normal summons a monster which searches on summon, I can't Scolding it. Why the
Summon has to resolve, therefore they get their card, and Karma Cut doesn't stop it.
Like, and they MST my Karma Cut. Oh no, I need my Karma Cut. You know what I should do? I should stop them from MSTing the Karma Cut. Oh wait, I can't play this because it's face down.
You'd be better off playing Dark Bribe.
Literally. Okay, let's change that 1 Scolding in the deck to a 1 Warning. Now they try to normal summon. Warning.
No normal summon for you.
No normal summon for you.
No normal summon. They try to do another thing. Oh look, I've got a Karma Cut to back that up. Boom.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay. They try to play Ale Shadow Fusion or Shadow Fusion. Warning. Why the fuck would you run this over fucking Warning? Bitter.
You are bitter.
If you went to a restaurant and you bought food that was bitter, you would complain. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm being bitter. Why the fuck would you run that over that? That costs 3k. Sure, it can stop any card. Wow, it's a solemn judgment. But you can't have any set cards. No, but I don't run set cards. Obviously, then if you're running 1 or 2 of them set, your opponent knows what the fuck it's going to be. People know you're playing Noble Knights. People realize that half the Noble Knight deck is bloody used up of spell and bloody equip spells.
Yeah, like, generally you run 8 plus a Gwen, brings it to 9. Sometimes you run 10, so you have a 1 in 4 chance to draw, right? That's 9 or 10 cards out of your main deck that could be back row in any other deck. Like,
why? Okay, Noble Knights can win without back row.
Can.
Especially against tier 2.
Yes,
but
they can.
Every deck can win without back row. Alright? It's just a lot harder, and it's
yes. Back row makes your time winning a lot easier.
Okay, let's put this into theory. You come up against Burning Abyss with no back row, and they still beat you because they're burning Abyss.
Dante's broken.
And they have a Virgil. They don't need fucking back row. Okay, you run no back row. Do you know what that means if you run no back row? It means you can't interact during your opponent's turn, which means you basically sit there and you let them go through all their plays. Okay, you can have Effect Valor in your hand. 2 Effect Valors, cool. Now you have 2 Effect Valors in hand. If you draw into them, and then you sit there and wait so you can do something with them, okay, that works, but
you can't,
you have, if you only have 2 Valors,
you can't stop people from doing stuff, like with the Vanities, or you can't stop people doing stuff, like with the Sanctum, or with a Breakthrough skill.
Grab that Yazi over there.
Or, you can't
grab that. Not saying that Yang Zings have a good matchup.
You can't Yazi.
you can't Veil a Yazi. But what you could do? You could Warning it. Ha. Like, that's Yazi. Generic rank 7, which specializes in Yang Zing decks. Regardless. Like, I don't know how else to explain to you. I took all back row out of this deck and ran it purely spells. And you know what? I regretted every single fucking second of it. I put traps back in. I enjoyed it so much more. Why? Because I can interact during my opponent's turn. Oh, hang on a second. We got these two.
They do stuff during your opponent's turn.
Okay, but you're not going to have this out turn 1. It is impossible. Right? Impossible unless you have double summon. Because these don't special summon each other out. Right? At least need turn 2 to start doing something. And then you can only do that once to use his effect to pop something. And then you can still get Veiled or Breakthrough. Like... Okay, what else? Okay, Gawain. Oh my god. Okay, let's start with Gawain.
Main boy, Gawain.
This is why I've taken Gawain out, and why I never really liked him, and another reason why I want to say...
My first deck that I built didn't have him. Never good.
Okay. Noble Knight Madrot.
It's not Gawain.
Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Lavarvel chain combo where you equip him with one equip that doesn't re-equip, and special summon out a level one of the 5s from your deck, say Black Lancelot, and then you special summon out. Now you got no back row, you special summon out Gawain, and then you go into Lavarvel chain, send Lady special summon, then you go into the Synchro, and then you search one. But I tried that against Shadow's, not very good. Okay, so
tried that against BAs. Doesn't work very well.
Let's go on to the opinion that you're not running the vanilla, so and then you play an equip spell that is an Excalibur onto Madrot. Say you have a Destiny on him, okay? First turn. Say you go second, and your opponent Breakthrough skills you. He does not become...
Get broken.
He does not become normal light. So you cannot get out Gawain.
And make another play.
Gawain sits in your hand dead.
Because
he's not a normal light. Because...
He's a light effect monster.
He's a light effect monster. If his effect gets negated, he becomes a light effect monster. If he normal summons out under skill drain, he's a light effect monster. If your opponent has Abyss Gaius, he's a light effect monster. If your opponent Divine Knight Felgrains him, he becomes a light effect monster. And yes, Divine Knight Felgrain doesn't target an effect monster, it just targets a monster in the field. Right? Rant! Okay, what else is there to go into? Another thing I want to go into is this idea that without, something to keep you alive, without back row, that Noble Knights are just going to magically get to this late game where they can do whatever the fuck they want. Because they can do whatever the fuck they want in that game. They really can.
Because that's what they're designed to do.
That's what they're designed to do. And we'll round table out that game. Perfect. But, okay, let's go into this. Say this is my opening hand.
We got a Foolish Burial, a Lady, a Merlin, a Round Table, and...
re-equipping Noble Arms. Okay, so I have a really, really good play I could do with this. And it also shows how you can use Merlin's effect. Okay, so let's go. Merlin, Tribute, Madrot,
Destiny.
Withdraw its effect.
Boars.
With these in hand. Boars. Boars' effect. Scalaburn, Gwen, Caliburn, or Gallatin, or whatever the hell you want. I don't know, Arth, whatever you want to have. Get those three. Okay, you get this in your hand. You play this and withdraw it, play that on Gwen, pass turn. That's a very, very strong thing to do. Okay? Actually, don't pass turn. Play Round Table, use Round Table's effect, and if you're running it, send the Vanilla Artorigus to the grave. So now we have
Can't
Merlin.
see it because it's off screen, but yeah, send it to the grave.
We have now Merlin and the Vanilla Artorigus in the grave. Should probably move this over so you can get on screen. Is that on screen?
Yeah, that's on screen, and
You got Round Table. Okay.
round table.
Now this is saying that you don't lose all your shit. Turn 2, Boars to attack. Maybe you lose Boars and you special summon another one. Who knows? Okay, but we're gonna say you don't lose your shit and your opponent just bricks. Okay. Okay, so Boars effect. Search out another 3 Noble Arms. Whatever the hell you want them to be. I don't know. I won't even. Okay. Gallatin, Arth, and the other Excalibur. Because you've also got Caliburn in the grave from earlier. Okay, then you get Excalibur in your hand. And these two go to the grave. Or even better, you get Gallatin in your hand. Actually, no, don't need that. Okay, so what can we do? We can then, with our 2 cards, let's say we drew into Scolding. Scolding's going to do nothing for us right now. Because we need to set it for a turn. Okay, Foolish Burial, another Melon. And then Normal Summon Lady, special summon out him from the grave. Attack, 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 attack. Banish out Melon for his 3rd effect. Right? Go into, that gets banished as well, the lady. So these 2 are banished now. He goes to the grave. Go for the Synchro. Synchro equips a Gallatin from deck.
And attack.
Run 2.
Big numbers.
Attack with him. And then banish out Merlin.
Again.
Again. Using these 2, go on him, re-equip Gallatin. Or equip another one from the grave. Gallatin, Caliburn, and the Destiny. And the other Excalibur, which you'll have in grave on hand or whatever.
And oh, hey, look.
There's already 4, 5.
And oh, hey, look. OTK potential.
OTK potential.
Right? But this,
that is only in theory.
This rarely happens unless A, you open amazingly, B, you have the right cards to pull this off.
So your opponent opens shit and has nothing to stop you.
See, like, your opponent has no traps or, you know, no hand traps like Veilers. If they max it, you're probably going to play through it because you know you can OTK them. But, like, if they can't stop your effects, go right ahead, OTK your opponent, or put massive damage on the board.
That actually is the idea of Merlin's 3rd effect, is that you normal summon Lady, special summon him from the grave, attack, attack, and then banish him, and then go into the Synchro. That is literally the idea behind that, but it's too slow. Lady has so little synergy with the deck to get out. You can Larval Chain into the grave, you can Foolish her. Usually I'd say Foolish for Gwen or Merlin or something I can actually use from the grave. Or Ector or something. And not so much Lady. Lady's good, don't get me wrong. In fact, this guy here is the best card in the deck in my opinion. Problem is, it is incredibly hard to get him out. Because Lady just doesn't have the synergy. And don't complain to me. Don't go bitch to me that Lady's amazing. Lady is amazing, but she was given almost no synergy.
There's no way besides Laval Chain or Foolish Burial
to search her, to get her in the grave, to, you know.
There's, like, the deck, it runs amazingly with her. There's just nothing to synergize her with the deck to make this guy amazing. Like, he's good.
He's so good. I wish I could make him every game, but I can't, because he's so hard to make.
Because Lady is so hard to get to the grave.
She wasn't given enough support, and that really, really, really sucks. And that's not my fault, that's not something anyone else should blame me about and flame me for saying, you know, that's not good. Back to where we were. Lady. Effect. Again. Taylor stops it. Breakthrough stops it. You can't equip with Noble Arms. Like, it's better in the grave than it is normal summoning using that effect. Again, in theory, that combo is super bloody beautiful. And can OTK turn 2. And it shows how you can actually use both those effects of Merlin from the grave.
It also shows that the deck is strong. Yes, but, well, in practice, getting to that point is a lot harder than people think just by theorizing how they're going to do it. Because of back row.
A simple Vanity's Emptiness would have stopped
everything.
Everything. Chain to Merlin. You know, Chain to Lady of the Lake.
Chain to Madraw.
Like...
It's like, yeah. One of the most prevalent cards in the format, just because it's so strong and stuns your opponent for a turn, is Vanities, and it's going to shit on your parade if you're playing anything. And, like, Noble Knights, you get your normal summon off, that's fine. You try and special summon, you get stopped. What are you going to do? You got no other play. Like, if you go Madraw, try to search a board.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you try to search a board, you can't search boards, you can't search your Noble Arms.
You know what does nothing against this? One of my favourite cards ever, which I have loved ever since Storm of Ragnarok, because I actually made Nordics and I was considering putting a Nordic deck profile up. I pulled 2 of these back in Storm of Ragnarok, and yes, they're basically my favourite card. Lance.
That does not help against Vanities.
Does nothing against Vanities, does nothing against Valor, does nothing against Sanctum. Some of the biggest things it does against Breakthrough, yeah, Breakthrough is one of the few things it stops.
It also stops things like Compulse or Bottomless. Not many people run Bottomless, but it stops Bottomless.
And the best thing is that if you want to attack with your Gwen, you know, you're not going to be hindered from Lance. But your opponent can always Lance to stop Gwen.
Lance is a good card. It's main board worthy, but it doesn't stop Vanities. It doesn't stop a Sanctum into Morale attack. It doesn't stop a Veiler.
Play set of first aids.
It's just the thing is, people don't like, oh look, Noble Knights can be a trapless deck or virtually trapless deck where they run like two of this crappy card.
Sure, its effect is good.
Yeah,
but activating its effect is shit.
Yeah, it takes too much. You can't have any other set cards. Okay. We're not thinking theory here. In practice, if you're versing your opponent and you see all of their face-up cards, you know what they're doing, you know how to stop them, you know how to get around it, and they have one set card, and you have an MST, what are you going to do? You're going to MST that one back row, even if it's potentially a bluff.
Okay,
why?
Against Noble Knights?
Yeah.
That you'll stop their first summon, good, because that's Noble Knight's weakness turn 1, they'll do nothing else. Against Shadow's, okay, you'll stop their Shadow fusion, but you won't stop their normal summon or set. Against Burning Abyss, you'll stop their first Dante, but you won't stop their next 2 Dantes in the Virgil.
Yeah.
Okay, against
Cliff
Arts. Okay, you can stop their activating of Scout, but not their Summoner's Art to play their second Scout. Because you can only stop one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you gotta realize that just because it's good in theory, and it's an excellent card and it looks like it's made for the deck, doesn't mean it's gonna work in practice. And of course, it'll work in some cases, but...
Yeah, like there'll be that rare off chance that your opponent doesn't have an MST and they have to play into your back row, and then that completely stops everything because they've got nothing else to do. But in practice, that doesn't always happen. Right? Like, people think, oh man, in theory this is really good, so it's going to work. Like,
so let's run 3 of it and it'll be amazing.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
Okay, another really big pet peeve. If you see someone running this, stop watching their video. Seriously, this card is a piece of trash. Give me all the hate you want in the world.
He's bad.
He's bad. And there's thunder outside. That is thunder.
Yeah, that's thunder.
Lots of thunder. You can't hear it on this audio, but...
Dude's bad.
Dude is absolutely horrible. How many games have I ever had the chance to go into this? Right? That was better than going into anything else.
No, not many. None.
None.
0.
How many times would I Merlin into this guy?
Literally 0.
Literally nothing. This guy does literally nothing. If he wasn't my only copy, I'd rip him up in front of you just to show how shit he is. But I would never do that to even a Boars or a Gawain. Right? That's how bad he is. This is like playing Avalon. It is the worst idea you could think of. Unless, of course, you're running Rescue Rabbit Avalon, and that's just silly as well.
It's just weird.
If you see someone running this in the deck profile, stop watching the deck profile. They obviously don't know how to fucking play the deck. Okay, they can make a deck profile, but that doesn't mean they can play the fucking deck.
Yeah. There's a difference between making a deck profile or net decking a profile and putting it up and saying you made the deck. There's a difference between doing that and actually playing a deck, right?
You play this against Blue Eyes, you're gonna do okay because Blue Eyes does nothing. You play this against Burning Abyss, they're gonna laugh at you, smack you in the face, and say, "You're an idiot."
They're gonna say GG and extend their hand game one. they're gonna shit on you.
They're gonna play Karma Cut and just wish they could have banished something else, but no, it is so bad that they're not gonna get that. Like, never run. This is a waste of space. This is a waste of Konami's time to even create this card. If this card said if it's sent to the grave out of Noble Arms from grave to hand, I'd have been like jizzing everywhere and playing 3. But the fact that it must be destroyed, let's double check this. Because it's so bad I haven't bothered to read it. While equipped with a Noble Arms equip spell, this card becomes Darkness level increased by 1. When this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with the Noble Arms equip spell, target 1 Noble Arms in your grave, not equip. Noble Arms in your grave, and add that target to your hand. Okay, so you can do it with the Synchro. Again, Synchro doesn't have a lot of synergy. Bad. So bad. Just like Scolding. Okay, running 1 or 2. Honestly, I'm going to say it's your own opinion.
Yes.
If you feel safer running it at 2, run it at 2. I will not flame anyone for running this at 2. I ran this at 2 for a very long time.
And it works.
And it works, don't get me wrong.
It works really well.
Especially against tier 2 decks, which is a bit slower, and you can equip this twice and have 2 on the field.
Yes.
Okay? But I run it at 1 because not many people are running Diddy Crow against the meta, like we've explained previously. And, to be honest, 95% of the times against the meta, to speed the deck up, you'll be using her effect or using her up every turn you get her out. That's the truth. Like, chuck that parrier away. Like, she's gonna get used up. And that's the truth. That's a fact. If you play the deck enough, it's gonna happen.
So much to cover.
Last chapter, Karma Card, Solemn. Okay. Last chapter, good mid-game. Good after your first couple of turns.
Last chapter, really good card. Playable at 2, yes.
Playable at 2.
Playable at 2, yes.
Also bricks at 2.
Yes, can brick at 2.
Whereas you always have brothers as well to recycle it.
Yeah.
Okay? Karma Cut. Why do I play Karma Cut? Because you have so many cards in the deck, right, that will destroy your opponent's monsters. Where's Dristan? You can buy battle. You can destroy sets. You can destroy with card effect. Right? There's a lot of ways you can destroy monsters. Problem is, if you come up against a deck that doesn't get hurt by their but doesn't get butt hurt by their monsters being destroyed,
you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time. That's why I run that. And that's why I've always run it in Noble Lights. Minus one little bit of time where I tried not running it, and regretted that decision immensely. Because if you come up against a deck which wants you to destroy their shit, which half the meta does now, this will be a saving grace. Phoenix Wing Wing Blast, you can probably do that, but
yes, you can get away with playing Phoenix Wing, yes.
I like the fact that mid-game, this hurts more. And late game, it hurts even more. This is a card which power grows the further into the game. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast shrinks during the game.
Well,
to an extent.
Like, if your opponent's down to top decking for their next play or winning, and you put a dead card on top of the deck, they're gonna cry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you Karma Cut away their win cons, like say you're playing Burning Abyss, and they have 2 Dantes in grave, and they go into a third one, and you Karma Cut the third one, they have no Dantes left. And then that's going to make them sad. Sure, they can go into... They can go...
You kill the first one by battle, you use his effect, or his effect, to destroy the second one, and then you chain to their effect going to the grave, Karma Cut on their last one that's face up, all the Dantes are gone. Congratulations, you'll probably beat Burning Abyss now, if you get that far. Or at least you can get Banish one straight up early game so they're not recycling immediately. Same with their Virgil. I came up against a deck that bloody managed to soul charge me first turn. And I beat them because they Karma Cutted their first Dante, and then I bounced their Virgil, and then they still soul charged, so they couldn't attack me. Like, sure, it was painful, but if I didn't do that, imagine what they'd be doing with the soul charge. They would have had a massive field.
Instead of just a smaller amount of
2 Dantes, which I could get past easily.
Yeah. It's like
I slowed them down a buttload by 2 cards and 1 discard. And the discard was this guy as well. A free discard in the deck. Lady Lake's even more so a free discard now because you're not going to use a normal summon unless you're running Artorias the Vanilla in the grave. Like, even Merlin to an extent can be a free discard. Not the best discard, but potential. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at here. If you can stop your opponent, it makes it a lot easier for you guys to actually stay alive. If you can't stop your opponent, they have free roam. Like I said earlier, you'll have 4 or 5 face-up spell and traps your opponent can read and then decide how they want to deal with you. MST Excalibur and then Castel this guy back to your deck, GG. Especially if he's the only one you got out. Which, if you're playing Protected King deck, you're playing this deck wrong. You don't want him out by himself anymore. You want to have like 3 Noble Knights. And yes, that's very good to do that. It's very good to have a Drift and the Brothers and a Bedwear. No, there's not even a Madraw mention or Boars in that, because, you know, the synergy's good enough, especially with Merlin in the grave. So, I think that is most everything I wanted to cover in this rant. Like, you'll back me up when I say that you want to have back row on this deck, you want to have a bit of it. You can't expect to win against meta. You can expect to win against tier 2 decks, or old meta like Mermals.
Mermals, 5-5ths, anything that's past its prime, pretty much. The problem is power creep is real, and you either have to conform to the power creep and, you know, build the newer decks, or you have to reinvent ways to play the older decks. Like, a new way to play Noble Knights. Make it more streamlined, fast-paced, and have interruptibility with traps and hand traps and, like, sure, you can play the old grindy Noble Knights where you get to late game and then you stomp your opponent, but games are decided in the first couple of turns. Your opponent gets a board presence and you can't get around it, can't get over it. They got a couple of back row. You try to do your stuff, you get stopped. Okay, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna get to late game. If you go first and you get off your play, and then your opponent gets off a better board and then kills your board, you're not gonna get to late game.
You'll be at the last chapter.
Such a bad pun. Like, that's why back row is good. Interrupts your opponent, allows you to stop them from making their plays.
And if you don't believe me, go watch my duel videos.
Go watch our duel videos, yes.
Like,
you will see that majority of the time that Noble Knights have lost
was when I have no back row.
Was A, when you have no back row, and B, when I have back row. I back row, I stop your first play, okay, you got nothing, I go through my stuff. Plus, because you've got no back row, I have nothing to fear, so I just go through with my stuff. People are going to do that. Like, if you've got, like, let's just say these are equips, right? Say you got 3 equips, no back row, your opponent's just going to go through and do their stuff because they know you can't stop them unless you know you're running Valar. But, like, they don't have to fear board presence. There's nothing on the board that's going to stop them, right?
And also, statistically, if you're only running 2 or 3 Valors in your entire deck,
or 2 or 3 back row in your entire deck,
your statistic chance of drawing into that and then being able to use it
is very, very low.
very slim. You can use Valor more often than your set cards, because your set cards will get MST, and Valor won't from your hand unless they mind drain you, which will be a main sideboard soon, or main deck card. You know,
So the argument is, it's like, should you run back row in Noble Knights?
Yes, but you need to be running a significant enough amount. Like, you need to be running at least 5 or 6 to make the presence and not have it just be MST'd immediately.
Yeah.
If not more, we are coming up with a very, very weird and butchered version of the deck that runs a lot of back row.
A lot of back row, but in theory, it works. In online deck testing, it's working. So, because it is working, we are going to be taking it to locals, and sadly there's no upcoming regionals, and the only YCS...
YCS.
So outside of, like, the one YCS we got coming up that we have once a year, or the, you know, like, 2 regionals we have once a year, because, you know...
Surprisingly, we have 4 in 4 months. We have 1 a month for the first 4 months of the year, but I think that's all we got for the year.
Yeah, but, like, you know, we get a few in one lump sum, whereas, like, that's the downside to being in Australia.
Yeah.
Very bad support for, you know, I guess you could say tournament level play, really.
The
thing is, we have to gauge deck playability at locals. Majority of the time, you're going to come up against non-meta stuff at the locals. But our locals have a lot of meta followers, and they like to playtest the current meta. So it's always a good gauge on how well you can play the deck.
Funnily enough, I went a lot better against the meta decks than I went against the tier 2 decks because I was set up against meta.
Yeah, like if you're prepared for meta and you're not prepared to verse rogue, and you don't know how to play against them, you're going to come up against them and lose, potentially. Because Noble Knights aren't tier 1 yet.
Like, Noble Knights are good against 2 of the big 3, but...
Clifforts, Shadows.
It requires a lot of siding if you're trying to go against 2 of the big 3.
Also, requires a lot of player skill.
This deck requires a hell of a lot of skill because there's a lot of versatility, but it's very hard to run, and it's even harder to make. So, when you watch a video of someone who's actually been playing the deck for a long time, as opposed to someone who's just making the deck because they get a lot of YouTube views, right? You should probably listen to the people who've been playing it for a long time and know what the fuck they're doing.
Their views are very good insight onto techs and choices in the deck. Like, fair enough, you can net deck any profile, play it, have it work, or you can net deck any profile and have it not work. But if you are really devoted to a deck and you spend a lot of time playing it, you will eventually figure out on your own, or through, I guess you could say, peer revision is a good word with it.
Yeah.
You will soon learn good choices for the deck, you know, newer ways that you originally didn't think to play the deck that work. And it's just like, the thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game where people net deck. All TCGs are. People want to play whatever's winning. People find the best variant of a deck, and that's all they play. Reason why Satellas aren't big, because no one has put the time and effort to make it good, right?
Honestly, I think Satella Double Summon Burn is going to be huge. But
Satella Double Summon Burn Trevor. Yeah. It has the potential to be good. Problem is, no one's putting in the time and effort to make it work. Same thing with Noble Knights. People are just net decking. They net deck I guess you could say the... bigger
people of YouTube who don't really play the deck, they just kind of make a hell of a lot of different decks. And they say they played the deck and they know how to play it well. And they don't, because this is a very hard deck.
Not only that, like, oh look, this dude came like top 32 at a YCS or at a regionals. His deck must be good. And that's the thing. People jump to conclusions. They're like, this must be good. It must do well. It must be good because it did well on this one-off chance.
And
but
who knows if they actually did do well, because there's a big chance that their opponent just did shit against them. Because that happens so much that you'll verse someone, they just don't know what the hell your deck does.
Yeah, or, you know, there's the off chance that your opponent bricks and you get a free round, or, you know, you verse, like, in the first couple of rounds, you could come up against somebody who's not prepared for the event.
Or playing Blue Eyes.
Or playing Blue Eyes. Like, it happens. It happens at regionals. It happens at YCS. You get people who aren't playing, you know, tiered decks. They're playing decks for fun because that's what they do. Card games are fun, but at the same time, people also like to win. And, you know, oh my god, he could have gone up against Blue Eyes round one, gotten a free win, and then gone up against, you know, well, you know, he climbs the rounds and gets top 32 or top 64, and people are like, oh my god, this deck must be good. And once again, coming back to the people jump to conclusions thing, people just go, oh my god, it did well, it must be good. No, you can do well and your deck can be bad. You can also do bad and your deck can be good. It all depends on how well you draw, how well your opponent draws, how skilled you are as a player, how skilled your opponent is as a player, and how those...
Luck! All these luck variants come in.
Well,
and
like,
luck
skill is not luck, but, like, drawing the right cards or drawing the right cards to out your opponent's cards is all luck-based, it's all RNG, and card games are all about RNG. It's how well you can draw, how well you can outdraw your opponent, how well you can... And then it comes into player skill, how well you can outplay your opponent, how well you can... Also, there's a lot of mind games that come into it, but that's not part of this video. It's just... Yeah. Like,
I think we'll end for now, plus there's a big storm above head.
Yeah.
We are going to go straight into deck testing of this new variant, and it's going to be running Call Haunted. But I won't tell you the rest of the stuff that's going to be running. We're going to test this out now to see how it runs, and if we like it, I'll do the deck profile update on that instead of what my current update of the deck is. And he knows what the video is, but I'm going to be proxying it. Anyway, I'm sorry that this rant will be very, very long. I hope to God someone sat through this, because there is a lot of information that people really should know in this. Because this is months and months of him playing against the deck and me playing the deck. And quite well, might I add. We have topped, together, we have topped at every single locals we've been to in the last 6 months. Except for maybe 1 or 2.
Like we mentioned a little earlier, it's not just, you know, your Blue Eyes deck or this. We have a lot of meta following players who just, I wouldn't say sheep meta, but they go, this is what's winning.
Don't say sheep.
Don't say sheep.
God.
Like, this is what people are playing and that's winning. Like, as soon as BA's topped, there were like 3 guys at one of our locals who were like, boom, we're building BAs because they're winning. And then, you know, they can do well because the deck does well, but because...
And there's one guy at our locals who plays BA and he's... Well, everyone can beat him.
Yeah, like, you can play the best deck in the world.
Doesn't mean you're gonna win.
It doesn't mean you're gonna win. It depends on your understanding. But yeah, like, the thing is, we top... Like, we haven't come in... We haven't placed outside of top 4 collectively as a... I guess you could say two players who go to locals
in the last 6 months.
Every week in the last 6 months. You know, we top either one of us or the both of us. And it's not just against, you know, really bad decks. There's
good decks, there's meta decks.
There's good decks, there's meta decks. And, you know, to get into the top 4, top 3 of, you know, the locals, you're gonna eventually verse them because of the way it's Swiss rounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way the Swiss rounds work. The further you go and the more wins you get, the more likely you are to verse other players.
Okay, let's end.
Okay, let's end that.
We gotta get into making this other video, and I'll have to edit this stuff later anyway.
Cut and paste, man, cut and paste.
So I hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe if you did. If you hate it, instead of disliking me, tell me why you hate me, and tell me why you hated the video.
Yes,
Rant along.
Words speak louder than actions.
Okay, because I'm not dumb. I don't want to say anyone else is dumb, but I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from with all this experience.